Hello, all. Thank you for joining us virtually. We do miss seeing everyone in person, but hope everyone is doing well and staying healthy. Today, I'm joined by Dr. James Lavelle, internationally recognized clinical pharmacist, author, board-certified clinical nutritionist, and naturopathic doctorate with more than 30 years of clinical experience. We're going to spend some time today discussing the immune system, learning a little bit more about ways to keep it strong and how probiotics can help support your microbiome, which is an integral part of your immune system. Welcome, Dr. Lavelle.
Jay, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining us today. We know consumers are looking for ways to stay healthy and strengthen their immune system. What general advice can we give health food store staff?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that 70% of your immune system is in your gut. I know we've heard that, but you have to start beginning to care for your microbiome, especially now more than ever. And, how do we do it? You got to start with some basic lifestyle choices, honestly. I think the first one is changing your diet, making sure that your diet is rich in resistant starch and prebiotics. And that means a lot of dark leafy greens, artichokes, actually green bananas. You want to eat them while there's still a little bit of green to get the resistant starch. A lot of people don't realize that. And then in addition to that, things like, oatmeal can work well for resistant starch as well. Chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp hearts, any of those types of foods can really help with, feeding your microbiome and really making sure you have the fiber that you need on a day in and day out basis. So that's one. The next one is managing your stress. It's hard to say these days to reduce it because we've got so many things going on in our world today. And what I try to teach our clients that come in to our facility is you can box breathe, right? You could do a simple exercise of a 4-second in breath, hold for 4 seconds, 4 seconds out breath, and then hold for 4 seconds and repeat that for about 2 to 3 minutes twice a day. And that resets your nervous system. When I get to explaining the importance of the nervous system in just a little bit, I think it'll make more sense why box breathing is so important. But, people need to learn it. We've got to manage our stress. You may not be able to reduce it, but you can certainly manage its impact on your body. Now, the next one is get moving. Exercise helps the microbiome. There's no doubt about it. And actually, it's whether you exercise intensely or moderately. They've shown it in both populations. Recently, they had a couple studies showing that in rugby players, their microbiome diversity was better than sedentary people. Then in another group, they showed where moms that were actually going and doing more moderate intensity activity, like at a boot camp, which I know a lot of people, oh, that's pretty intense. It is not quite like a professional athlete. And even in that situation, you get an improvement in the microbiome diversity. So the bottom line is just get moving. It's really important. And it also helps with your nervous system too. And then the last piece is take a supplement. Okay. One of the most basic things you can do. I've been working on people now for 38 years. And for 38 years, I've been recommending probiotics to people because I know in general, life gets hectic. Probiotics, they really help when your diet isn't quite what it should be, when the stress is high. And I've just seen them make a big difference.
Okay, so good diet, reduce stress, work in some exercise, and of course, add supplements. Sounds like good advice. You mentioned probiotics. How exactly can probiotics help with stress and strengthen our immune system?
Well, let's review your immune system and how it works as it relates to allergies and how it relates to your gut, and and see how probiotics can help. So let me share a couple slides with you. Let me get it set up here. So the path to a strong immune system is through the gut, without a doubt. And it's incredibly important to understand how does my gut work. So I'm going to put my little red marker on here. And so when you look here, these are mucosal cells. So these are mucosal cells, one cell layer thick between your intestinal lining and the rest of your body. Just like the inner lining of your arteries, the endothelium is only one cell layer thick, and your blood-brain barrier is only one cell layer thick. So it's incredibly important that we protect this. As it gets leaky or under stress, which I'm going to show you in a minute, or maybe with poor bacteria, meaning your microbiome is disrupted, or maybe you're nutrient deficient, you're low in zinc, you could, any of these things could cause low in glutamine. Any of these things could cause your cells to get leaky. See how you get this big gap? And that allows for an allergen. So I want you to think about, it could be a pollen, it could be mold, it could be anything that you breathe in and swallow, but it could also be food. So I don't want you to just think about allergens as, environmental allergens. A lot of people have food intolerances and sensitivities as well as food allergies. People that, could eat peanuts when they were a kid, and then all of a sudden they've got a peanut allergy and they have to carry an EpiPen around with them. This is why. The allergen slips through the cracks of the mucosal cell and presents itself to the antigen presenting cell. This antigen presenting cell then activates the immune system. These are called Th2 cells, and it starts to release a lot of inflammatory cytokines, which are right here. You get the production of this IgE antibody, and it then is attached to your cell, so that the next time you get a challenge up here and it drops through that mucosal barrier and hits the IgE, I would say, that's a receptor. What happens is it triggers the release of histamine, inflammatory cytokines, and activates your mast cells. That's what's going on. Your mast cells are getting activated. You're getting a lot of histamine, and that means you could have watery eyes, itchy eyes, sinus congestion, dry mouth. You could get brain fog. You could feel fatigue. You could feel even aches and pains when you have certain allergic responses. So the bottom line is, we need to try to keep this mucosal barrier healthy, and the microbiome is what does that. Your microbiome is what produces the short chain fatty acids like butyrate that helps to keep these nice and puffy and fattened up and healthy. And when we don't have enough beneficial flora, this starts to break down. So, but there's more to the story. If you look here, you see that metabolic stress, when you get under stress, let me move this out of the way here. When you get under stress, your body can do it one of two directions. It hits the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus tells the pituitary to tell the adrenal glands to release cortisol. And then the cortisol goes and increases the permeability in your gut. So you don't have to just swallow an allergen. The bottom line is, under stress, you change the permeability of your gut. And if your beneficial flora isn't good, this is going to, happen pretty quick. So the other way that it can happen is that your brain takes this stress on, and the stress could be a biotoxin like mold. It could be high iron. It could be a toxin, an environmental toxin. It could be emotional stress. So think of stress as anything that affects your brain and then triggers a stress response. And so the spinal cord then increases the amount of adrenaline and noradrenaline that you're releasing, and that goes to your enteric nervous system, which is the nervous system that connects your brain to your gut. So when it does that, it enters these enterochromaffin cells. And that, if you look here, triggers a permeability change because of increasing corticotropin releasing hormone, CRH, corticotropin releasing hormone. It increases permeability of your gut, but more importantly, look what else it does. Follow this little red line. I love doing this with this, man. This is fun. You see this? It goes and directly triggers your mast cells to react and create more histamine. And so you get inflammation and you get immune activation and you develop allergies. But you also develop metaflammation or metabolic inflammation in this type of chemistry. So it's kind of interesting, right? If you're under stress,
Absolutely.
it alters your gut flora. That's incredible, right? And I don't think a lot of us think of that. We think if if our bowel movements are normal, that means our gut's normal. You kind of want to think about it a little differently than that. You want to work on that gut flora every day. So let's see what else we can find out. This was an interesting study. This was a pilot study where they took subjects and gave them a high-fat diet. How many people are on a keto diet nowadays, Jay, when you walk into them and see a customer?
Yeah, very popular right now.
A lot of keto products, right? High-fat diet. High-fat diets trigger more circulating endotoxin. You see this over here? And what circulating endotoxin is when your bacteria die off in your gut, they break apart. And the proteins that are in the bacteria cell wall are endotoxin. The other name for them is lipopolysaccharide. Now, why that's important is that circulates around in your body and attaches to your tissue and triggers inflammatory signaling. So you literally can damage all your vital organs and tissues over a long period of time if your circulating endotoxin is what's going on. And so what's interesting is look at post-probiotic here. Look at the difference in circulating endotoxin when they gave a probiotic. And this was a probiotic where they gave something called the Friendly Trio. So a pretty interesting probiotic. Now, the next thing that's important, so diet can change my need for probiotics. Stress can change my need for probiotics. Drug-induced microbiome disruption. Prescription and non-prescription drugs alter the microbiome and can disrupt metabolic pathways. And metabolic pathways related to sex hormones, sleep, detox, nutrient absorption, any number of these pathways can get disrupted. So it's important to recognize that. So, one of the biggest things that we try to do is try to get people to understand that when you're on medications, when you're stressed out, when you're not eating properly, you're literally affecting your immune system. Here are the common drugs, and this is a big list. Almost everybody over the age of 40 is on 2 or 3 of these, and many people over the age of 60 are on several of these, and today, many people in their 20s are on at least 1 or 2. Think how many people are on antidepressants. Think how many people are taking proton pump inhibitors for their acid stomach, or they're on antibiotics, or they're on corticosteroids. They could be on metformin, which is for diabetes. So the thing to note is I'm giving you some really common scenarios about why people need to be on probiotics. This has nothing to do with them having an illness. We're trying to prevent their immune system from breaking down and getting an illness or being more prone for illnesses. So pretty important.
So the bottom line is the microbiome can be affected by the foods we eat, drugs and stress, and the things we put our body through every day. What strains of probiotics can improve our gut health? Which ones have been studied?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to know which ones are studied because, first of all, you have to know if they're going to be all present at the time of expiration, meaning that there's a guaranteed amount of probiotics in the bottle. The other thing that's important is, are they competing with each other? A lot of times, I had somebody come in today with a probiotic bottle. They gave it to me. There's like 18 probiotics, prebiotics, fruits, vegetables, maybe a used car, whole bunch of stuff was in that bottle, right? The issue is that when you put all that stuff together, the probiotics can be competing with each other. So you're not really sure whether you're getting the probiotic you think you're getting. So this is a great example of a human strain probiotic combination that's been studied called the Friendly Trio. Lactobacillus gasseri, KS13, and it helps support general GI function as well as immune health. and it's been shown in studies to do that. Bifidobacterium G91, which is reported to regulate healthy gut flora, support your immune system or enhance your immune response, as well as reduce inflammation. And this even has shown to be of benefit in allergic conditions. So this is a great combination. The Bifidobacterium longum, MM2, it helps with normalizing bowel movements. So with this friendly trio, you get a human strain triple probiotic that's been studied and has worked in both allergies, as well as supporting people that are going through cold and flu season. And it's a reliable combination product.
Great, great. The Friendly Trio sounds like a good place to start. Where can we get more information about some of the things that you've talked about today?
So you can go to jimlaval.com. I mean, I have a lot of information on there. I also guest edit for a site called probiotics.com. And I like probiotics.com because it's got information, it's got scientific postings. You can take a questionnaire and figure out what probiotic might be right for you, either by life stage or your situation. In addition to that, there's a lot of videos on there to educate health food store employees about the value of probiotics.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lavelle. That was a lot of great information. I always learn something new when you present. And thank you, Maho attendees, for your time and attention. We look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.